First day of winter. I'm told that the temperature won't get above 65 today. Is that correct? So we've got a cool day ahead of us and perhaps a few storms, but I'm sorry? You could. I don't know if it's open. But this morning we have a wonderful lecture on exercise as well as diet. So if you have to run in the rain, just practice what you hear here, I guess. Get your steps in. But how many of you have been blessed by a teenie? I love talking to people at their stage of life because they've seen it all, they've done it all, and we are the beneficiaries of their experience and wisdom. And so as we begin again today, I ask you to bow your heads with me as we seek the Lord's blessing. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for waking us up to a new day. And even though the temperature may not get too high today and some storms may roll by, we thank you that you are here and that you promised never to leave or forsake us. And so as we go into this hour, we ask you to bless Teenie in a special way as she ministers to us. In Jesus' name, amen.
All slept well. I hope you all slept good last night because that's one of God's natural laws that we're going to have to talk about a little bit as well. We may not get to everything, but I hope you've been drinking your water. Have you been drinking your water? That is a very important natural remedy as well. So we're talking about secrets to wellness. And we talked about the fact that the chronic diseases are at an all-time high. That heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, and even Alzheimer's and dementia are on a rise. And so how can we lower the risk for those chronic diseases and also reverse some? And I'm here to tell you that it is very exciting because we can reverse. We know scientifically, we know we can reverse heart disease, but there's really only one total way of reversing heart disease, science says, and that's on a plant-based diet. We cannot use animal products if we are going to reverse it. And I'm going to show you that tomorrow. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on nutrition tomorrow because we all like to eat, right? And we want to eat the right kind of foods. And so we're going to discuss that tomorrow. Very, very important subject, and we'll discuss that tomorrow. But we do know we can reverse diabetes too. And we also know that with diabetes too, we can have people actually lower or even get off their insulin if they follow the right protocol. Now, I'm not a physician, so you consult your physician. However, I am doing a doctorate in original medicine. So I've been studying this. Someone says, wait a minute, you're 74 years old and you're doing a doctorate? And look, whether I finish or not is not the point. I'm learning and I'm building my brain, right? And that's what you need to do. I've finished 4 courses already, and actually my book is for my dissertation. And so that's why I've done so much research in this, because it is also my dissertation project. And so I'm learning, but we're going to discuss nutrition at length because all of the natural remedies are so important. And we're going to discuss another important one today, which is exercise. But just as a review, the first one in our acronym of wellness is water. And bottom line is that most of us as adults need 8 8-ounce glasses of water every day. And so if we're not getting that, we are actually deficient in our intake of water. And some people are even dehydrated and don't even know it or realize it. And so we do need that. Also, water is a wonderful remedy for health. The hydrotherapy, I have a whole section on hydrotherapy. I took, for also my doctorate degree, I took a course in hydrotherapy, spent 2 weeks with hands-on doing hydrotherapy. And so that is a very important part of God's natural laws and remedies. And I tell you, when I got up this morning and I knew it was cold outside, I didn't feel like getting that cold part of the shower, but I got in there and I just said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and counted real fast and real fast again till I got to 30, and then turned around and said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you might have to go a little fast if you're doing that hot and cold, but I'll tell you, it's going to stimulate your entire system, and you feel so good when you finish those hot and cold showers. And if you want to build your immune system, it's a good way. So I can't even overemphasize when I'm taking one natural remedy alone and spending a whole class time on it, or even a whole seminar on it, then we spend a lot of time on the benefits of water. But I can't overemphasize how important that water is. It is such a wonderful remedy. And I tell people, no matter where you are in the world, because I teach classes all over the world, we need that water. And if you don't have running water, then you just get those buckets. And I had to do it, believe me, in the Philippines. I was there with those buckets of water, and just dump it on them. Or in Tanzania, they have big tubs, and just get into those tubs. So we need water, and be conscious of it. Be conscious of what you're intaking, because you may not recognize that you're deficient in it because you haven't been counting throughout the day. So carry your water bottle with you. Best to get either glass or stainless steel rather than the plastic. But if that's all you have, then we need to have that liquid in us. All right, now we're going to discuss exercise. Exercise is also a law of life, and particularly today with Alzheimer's. This whole thing on Alzheimer's and dementia is just on an all-time high. And it's so important because elderly people tend to be sedentary, and we need to be active. So it is a law of life. We need daily exercise. We need exercise every day. And no matter how we cut it, no matter how we can rationalize, we need to get up and move. We have to be moving to be healthy. But look, the researchers at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, analyzed the survey data collected on exercise from more than 450,000 adults in the United States ages 18 and older. And this is what they discovered. The report showed that 80% of American adults don't get the recommended exercise. They don't get the recommended exercise. But was the recommended very low? It was. All the recommended was more than 25% of the Americans don't devote any time to physical activity, and yet the recommendation was low. The recommendation was only 2.5 hours a week of moderate intensity exercise. What does that mean? All that means is 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. Just walking with your head erect and your shoulders back and getting that exercise. So 30 minutes is minimum. That is the minimum, my friends. Make sure you calculate. I calculate on my phone. I make sure that I get my steps. Now today, I'm not quite there yet, but 2 days ago, it was a flying day. We had to fly here. And I still had 11,774. And then yesterday was kind of a class day and a camp meeting day, and I said, I have to get that at least 10,000, and I got 11,255. So if you have, either an Apple Watch, which is kind of expensive, so I do it on my phone, and just calculate what you are doing, or you can calculate it by hours, you see, or miles. Yesterday I got 4.7 miles, and the day before I got 5.2. So you want to get at least, start with even 5,000 or something, 3,000, 5,000, and build yourself up. And so, because if you aren't feeling well, when you start exercising, you're going to feel better. So that's a good thing, isn't it? It's a good thing. And so just 30 minutes a day is what they're recommending as the bare minimum 5 days a week. But look, CBS News reported from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and they linked physical activity to more than 5 million deaths worldwide per year. More than those caused by smoking. It is amazing, my friends. People are dying from lack of exercise. It is so important. The survey revealed that only 20.6% of people met the total recommended amounts of exercise. So we're just not getting it. We need to be, just like we need to calculate and be conscious of how much water we are drinking and how many showers or baths we're taking or whatever. I have to emphasize that when I go to some places like Africa, because they think maybe, a bath once a week is okay, but it's really not. And so we need to have that cleansing in order to get the toxins out as well. And so, but here we are with exercise being so almost eliminated from one's lifestyle. But how many people in the United States do you think own a pair of running shoes but don't run? They own the running shoes. They have a pair, but how many? Amazing, my friends, 87%. They have the running shoes. They go in and they buy them, but they don't use them. At least they don't walk on them very much, or they don't run with them. And so we need to get out there. But if you want to feel better, be more energetic, reduce your risk of chronic diseases, live longer and happier, we need to develop a regular exercise program. And it is true that we need the cardiovascular, but we need the strength bearing as well, particularly for men and women who get older, because osteoporosis sets in. And it's just a fact that there are some hereditary factors that I mentioned yesterday. And white females, small boned, if you're in that category, can hit you. But the fact of the matter is that it's hitting men as well. And this is what is so amazing. 1 in 2 women will get osteoporosis and 1 in 3 men. So just count in this room alone and you can see how it's on the rise. But you can maintain your bone mass, or at least stabilize it even as you get older. And as I mentioned yesterday, I did my bone scan, my DEXA scan, and I actually gained 10% bone mass. And so it is possible to build that as well. And so exercise has many, many benefits. I'm going to just go over them quickly. We could stop on every one of them, but I want to get to some other things as well today so that we can jump into nutrition tomorrow. But I want to go over just a few. First of all, it helps control weight. And when the Americans have 66.2% of obesity or overweight, we need to do something about it. We need to do something about it. And it's the middle area that is a problem. And this is a problem with men as well. We need to reduce that fat around the middle, because that comes so easily as you get older. It's just so much harder to take it off. In fact, someone here told me yesterday that it's a little easier to maintain their weight than it is to take it off. And that is so true. And so that's why we need to try to maintain our weight. Whatever your ideal weight is, and in my book, I share how you can do your own BMI, your body mass index. There's just a simple formula. I'll let you get it out of the book because I don't want you to calculate it while I'm lecturing. And so, but you can calculate your own body mass index and know exactly whether you are in the normal range, whether you are either underweight, normal, or in the overweight, or in the obese range. So I have all that. I've tried to compact everything in this book because I believe in this so much, because I see people improving their health when they follow these remedies that I'm talking about, and I see people going downhill when they don't incorporate them into their lifestyle. And so you can get all of that in the book. But then, so there's so much we could talk about weight control. I have a whole class on that, in fact. And in fact, in my last exercise class, it was so much fun. I just finished my exercise class with a group, many non-Adventists coming, and they were so excited as they were in there exercising. We're going to do a little bit today with you as well. But they were so excited and telling me, I'm incorporating these as they were coming back week after week. If you hold an exercise class, you do need to have a few weeks so people can see some improvement. So you can't do it in just one session. But exercise also helps reduce the risk of these chronic diseases. I can tell you there's study after study after study that actually proves that the risk of some of these chronic diseases that I'm talking about will go down if you just simply exercise and you're conscious of your exercise program. And then exercise helps reduce detrimental effects of stress and helps alleviate depression. When we were in England just recently, we did a stress seminar, and I did a whole section on stress and exercise. It was amazing, and I found some British studies so that I could quote the British studies to the British, and they were amazed at how even stress levels and depression levels went down as people exercised. Absolutely incredible. And then exercise reduces chronic pain. Now, you ever have that chronic pain as you get older and you just say, oh, I got this pain, I got that. Even if you start just exercising, seeing if you can touch your toes, you know what? That chronic pain disappears. It's amazing. Now, I'm not saying you're going to have, that this is a miracle worker and every chronic pain is going to be gone, but I can tell you, even when I have chronic pain, I get up in the morning and I think, oh, I need to make sure I can still touch my toes. And I go down there and exercise, and we're stretching. I stretch in the shower every night. I'm stretching, and every morning, stretching those legs, stretching. It's so important, and you will even find chronic pain reduced as a result of simply exercising. And exercise can boost your energy. If you want to have more, how many want more energy? We'd like to be more energetic, yes. And if you just have a little bit of exercise, you even improve from what you're doing, you are going to find that you have more energy. And I find this myself. I have to discipline myself to exercise. Yesterday, we needed some new batteries for my remote control. So I asked our good pastor, Aaron, who's been picking us up, taking us everywhere. Fantastic pastor. He's like, he's younger than even some of my children. So he's like already like one of my children. And so just taking us all around, wonderful pastor. And so I said, we need to go to Walmart. So just show us where Walmart is. And he did. And I said, we want to walk back. we don't want to ride. He said, oh, I'd be happy to wait for you. We said, no, we just want to walk back. And so you have to discipline yourself. You're saying, when can I fit this in? It took us 25 minutes to go from Walmart back to our hotel. And so, not here. We didn't do that. It wasn't quite from there to here. Now, maybe we could try that sometime, but not right now. Okay. But anyway, and I felt more energetic when I got back there. Okay. But there's good news, my friends. You're going to be more energetic. You're going to feel like you have discovered the fountain of youth. How many want to discover the fountain of youth? Yes. Oh, we wish that were true. You know, the aging process sets in, my friends, no matter who you are. We can't stop the aging process because sin has done that. And we live from the longest person ever living, Methuselah, at 969. We go down 7 generations to Nahor, and it's about 140 to now 70 years. That's basically. The Bible says by reason of health, you could live 80, but 70 years. And if you have really good health, you may have a little longer life. But that's pretty short. That's a short-lived life. But you can discover that fountain of youth because you feel better. And I'll tell you, I thought I had discovered the new fountain of youth when I ran my first marathon at 70 years old. Just a few years ago, I ran my marathon. And after running 26.2 miles, there I am. I crossed the finish line, and I felt great. 26.2 miles. And I didn't have any after effects. But I had trained. I've been training. So you do have to train. But I'll tell you, God blessed me as I came in 3rd in my age category. And I was running with marathoners. They had run. Some of these marathoners run several times a year. Several times. Some of them even one every month. One every 2 months. It's just amazing. But God bless me. There is the proof with my medals of 3rd place and my plaque and my medal. But I'll tell you, I decided to run the next year with my daughter, and she was so excited because I came in 2nd in the 2nd one. And but I'll tell you what, you don't have to run a marathon to be healthy. You just need to exercise daily. And so, but I decided that I was going to run the marathon. And a friend of mine said, well, don't run in vain, just for health even. You're building your center. Why don't you run and have people sponsor you for something at your school? And so I said, that's it, my kitchen. And I raised $70,000 after my 70th birthday, running my first marathon at 70. And supplied our beautiful kitchen. And so I may have to run the marathon again this year. I'm going to run this year, but I may have to run for our center of influence that we have with our retreat center, because I have to furnish it. God has blessed us with this retreat center. It's going to be paid for, but I need to furnish it. So I may find myself again running to help furnish that. But anyway, you don't have to run a marathon. You just need to exercise, my friends, and you will strengthen your bones, because that is the next thing that it does. Exercise. And Ellen White says clearly that exercise, just walking, is one of the best forms of exercise. So you don't need to run. And by the way, in the marathon, I have a book that my daughter got me called Running to 100. And it talks about interval training. And when I was at the Lifestyle Center of America many years ago, I learned about interval training. That's what I do. I do not just run, because I recognize that that is very difficult on your knees. But what I do is walk run, or what we call interval training. And interval training is very important because you actually restore the body as you walk again. And Ellen White clearly says that walking is the very best form of exercise. But you're going to strengthen those bones because that's weight bearing. And I learned about weight bearing also when I was in Africa, because every day when I was out walking, I would see these ladies with these barrels, sometimes many pounds, even 50 pounds on their head, and they don't have osteoporosis because they're out there exercising, they're walking, they're weight bearing with all that they carry, and they carry on their heads. I mean, they just walk, they don't even hold on to the thing on their head. It's just amazing. But you're going to build and strengthen your bones. You're going to improve your learning. Actually, you're learning. You're going to say, wow, my memory is even better. Now, I recognize that as we get older, we tend to lose more of the short-term memory. I'm doing a lot of study on this dementia and Alzheimer's, and unfortunately, that is one of the things that goes first, is your short-term memory. You're going to remember your childhood. You're going to remember maybe even your friends or others, but it's going to be that short-term memory that begins to go. And there's nothing. I have the quote in my book from Ellen White where she says, nothing can calculate the brain as much as the study of the Word of God. So we know that as we study the Word of God, that's going to expand our memory. But also, as we exercise, that is going to help as well. So we're going to improve our learning. And then best of all, my friends, best of all, it's going to slow down the aging process. I'd rather slow it down, even if I know I can't completely stop it, because I can't. There's no way that any of us can stop the aging process. It's just a fact of life that because of sin, that we are born, we live, and we die. It's just a fact. And if Jesus doesn't come before long, many of us are going to be laid in the grave. And so it's a fact of life. And so why not live the best possible life you can? That is the key. But we're going to slow it down. There's no question about science showing us that we can slow it down as well. And so what do we want to do? We want to walk at least 30 minutes a day, right? That's the bare minimum. That is the bare minimum. And that means not just, walking to the TV and pressing the remote control and, all of that. It means actually consciously walking for 30 minutes a day. That's what it means. And in this exercise, all the organs of the body are brought into use. We know that because we have that clearly brought out in the gift of prophecy. You see, we're so privileged as Seventh-day Adventists because there is no difference between the Bible and the gift of prophecy in inspiration. There's no difference. The only difference is this, my friends, is that the Bible was written for all time and the gift of prophecy was written for end time. But as far as inspiration, there's no difference. And we have inside information on health in the gift of prophecy. And so she says that all of the organs are brought into use by exercising. So all we need, it's not expensive. It doesn't cost anything. Just a good pair of walking shoes, that's all. Just a good pair of walking or running, jogging a little bit, but a good pair of shoes. That's all that it entails. No, you can get some exercise equipment. I have some weights. I have 1 pound. I have 2 pounds. I have 3 pounds. 5 pounds is hard to walk with if you're putting them in both hands. When I was working on my osteoporosis, I went to Uchee Pines Lifestyle Center, and Dr. Agatha Thresh was convinced that we could control osteoporosis, that we could at least maybe even reverse it. We didn't know until I had my DEXA scan, and I was a living proof of that. But so she did have me on some 5-pound weights to start, but just get a 1-pound weight and put them in both hands and walk, or just begin stretching your arms and walking. And if you can walk and talk at the same time, or if you can run a little bit and talk, then you're in better shape than if you're huffing and puffing and you can't walk. So just get yourself a good pair of walking shoes. And I have many principles, or expand on the principles in my book, but just go over 2 simple principles today. Principles is exercise regularly. The first one is just to exercise regularly. You'll have half the risk of the killer diseases as inactive people. So there's no question in my mind that if you begin exercising, you are going to reduce the risk of those killer diseases. And I'll tell you, those killer diseases are so awful, and especially the one most feared is Alzheimer's and dementia, because it just takes a person down such a horrible road. And we just need to read our Bibles and start memorizing as much as we can and do things. I have a whole section on many things that you can do to reduce Alzheimer's in my book, and many of the things, including maybe even playing Scrabble if you feel like you need to play a game, and try to, do Sudoku, or, but the best is to read your Bible. And but exercise regularly. And number 2 is simple. Just enjoy the exercise. I enjoy my bike. I ride on my bike. My husband rides a bike. We have bikes, and we try to ride them as much as possible. And I love walking, and sometimes I have to discipline myself to walk, but I enjoy it, particularly if I have a destination. That's why I told Aaron yesterday, I just want to walk back from Walmart. My husband was with me, and we were carrying a few things, and it's very good. If you have a destination, that's even better. But enjoy your exercise. I enjoy water skiing still with my children, and I still, when I have a chance, I can ice skate still and rollerblade still. I'm a little more careful about rollerblading right now, because if you don't have some good padding, you might, you could break a hip or something. So I'm a little more careful with that. But my bike and other forms of exercise, I'm swimming and doing some other things. But enjoy the exercise. That's very important. To enjoy vitality and best of health, but you must be active for life. That's the bottom line. And regardless of your age, you can be active for life. So regardless of your age, and exercise out in nature as much as possible. This is at our home. My husband goes out with me also on his bike, and we try to exercise daily and regularly. But here's your prescription. And guess what, my friends? I'm not even going to charge you for the prescription. But here it is. Just walk 30, and if you can, even walk 60 minutes a day. That's every day. Even on Sabbath, I like to get out in nature and walk. And so it's just so simple. On Sabbath afternoon, we have 17 miles of trails in back of our house, and I love going on those trails and out in nature and just singing with the birds, and it's just wonderful. So walk 30. I'm not going to be able to cover a lot in sunshine because we don't have a lot of time here, but I can tell you that the sun is 109 times bigger than the earth, and you could fit 1,000,000 earths. I have it all in my book there. You could fit 1,000,000 earths into the sun. The sun shines on the good and the bad. The sun shines on the rich and the poor. The sun shines on the black and the white. It shines on people all over the world. And it is important just to get that sunshine. I share some of the teeny tips in the section on sunshine and how we need to get out there. And we think that we need to put all this sunscreen on and avoid the sun, but we need at least 15 to 20 minutes of direct sunlight every day to get that vitamin D that we need. And most people are deficient in vitamin D. Now, I'm not saying you should never take a supplement if you're deficient, but I like to get it naturally as much as possible. You may get a little bit from a vitamin D supplement if you're low, because actually low vitamin D can actually contribute to cancer rather than being out in the sun where you're getting that natural vitamin D. So that is very important. But then walk out in the sunshine with your head erect, your shoulders back, and take those deep breaths. We have a whole section on environment and air, going out among the trees. Ellen White says there are health-giving, life-giving properties in the trees. And I have that quote in there too. And we have a section on how you can take those deep breaths and how to do that. It's going to expand your lungs, and you're going to feel better, look better, and live longer. And that is another benefit. But take those deep breaths. And Counsels on Health 166 says this: life in the open air is good for body and mind. Good for the body and good for the mind. It is God's medicine for the restoration of health. Whoa, wow. Open air, so get out there in the open air. God's medicine, pure air, good water, sunshine, the beautiful surroundings of nature. These are his means for restoring the sick to health in natural ways. So if we want to restore the health, if someone is elderly and you're taking care of them, take them out in the open air, in the sunshine. This is why we bought this retreat center, 10 acres of land. It's just beautiful around there. We want to put in some trees and maybe even a little garden and some flowers and all of that. Some of it's there already. But just get out in the open air and exercise, because you can be healthy by making these choices. You can be healthy by making these simple choices. So we need to exercise for life. So before I go into the last section, and so stay with me, don't anybody leave, but I want you to stand up because we're going to exercise a little bit. And I'm going to just go into the last two sections quickly. All right, let's go. Let's go with the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Great, good. All right, let's just start walking. Swing those arms. Get those legs moving. Come on, get them up there. Let's go. All right. Now we're just going to go a little faster. We're just going to start off walking, and we're going to go a little faster. All right, now just go a little faster like you're jogging at a soft jog. And now you're going to skip rope. Oh, I love skipping rope. Let's skip rope. All right, now we're going to skip rope backwards. All right, let's go. Come on, skip that rope while you're jumping. All right, and now we're going to punch that bag. Just punch that bag, all right? Punch it, but keep walking. All right, keep going. Now, if you're under 50, you better watch it. All right, keep going. That's good. Now slow down a little bit. Just keep those arms moving and keep those legs moving. Take a deep breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just slow down. Slow down. Again, breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, put your hands at your hips. If you can't find your waistline, then go on the weight control program. All right, just breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in And breathe out. Now put your hands down and just shake them a little bit. And just relax. Totally relax. Take another deep breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And shake those hands, and then you may sit down. Doesn't it feel good? We had in our exercise class for 45 minutes straight just exercising. It's called Walk at Home. The Center for Heart Disease Control put it out, and we did a whole section. We started them with 30 minutes, then we built up to 45 minutes, and then some who were a little adventuresome went up to the hour. And we just did that for an entire hour, and we did several weeks in an exercise class. And I can tell you that at the end of that exercise class, the people said to me, I don't want this to end. So we may have to have, something on a regular basis at our center, because that's really very important. And so now what we want to do is go into another remedy quickly, love. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I have a whole section in my book on this. And it's done in the book easily so that you can find the sections. You'll notice on the edge it says lifestyle, adds years to your life, or love, discovering true joy, or the water. Everyone is sectioned out. And so we're going to talk just a bit about love and trust in God. Loving relationships are part of a healthy lifestyle. So we don't want to have tension between people or in churches over petty little things, because that destroys your health and doesn't build your health. We want to have healthy relationships. ABC News, May 21, 2015, reported that medical research indicates that loving relationships help to reduce blood pressure and the risk of coronary heart disease. So we need those loving relationships, not tension. And the church is absolutely no place to have tension. If you don't get the office that you think you should have gotten, you know what? Relax, because God will make it up to you. And you can do whatever God has planned for you. So we need those healthy relationships. And Jesus says, let's read it together, John 15:12. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. So Jesus says, love one another. That's going to bring you health. And there are many studies, I have them in the book, but there are many studies that show that health is improved when we trust, and trust also in God's unconditional love. So trust and faith is so much a part of health. It is so important. And trust in divine power is one of God's laws of health. And let's read 1 Peter 5:7 together. Casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. And so I have so much more to say on that. I have a whole class on that. But I just wanted to touch just on the surface. And you can get some of the quotes in the book that are just fantastic from the Bible, from the Spirit of Prophecy, and so forth. But let's go quickly to lifestyle, because this one is important as well. A healthy lifestyle necessitates healthy choices. If we're going to be healthy, we have to make those right choices. And we're going to talk about dietary choices tomorrow. But an unhealthy lifestyle is often the result of poor choices. It's a result of poor choices. Now, remember, we said 25% was due to genetics and 75% lifestyle, where diet is important, as well as all these other ones that I'm talking about. And so this entails temperance, or abstemiousness, that Ellen White calls it. But temperance is using wisely that which is good, and it is abstaining from everything that is harmful. Everything that is harmful, we need to be abstaining from. What is that? Well, we know drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and even caffeine. And my friends, I tell you, this is really important, because I want to look at a drug that people all over the world are using every day. I tell you, it is amazing, because even It's creeping, unfortunately, into the Seventh-day Adventist churches. And we have so much counsel on it, and that is caffeine, coffee, tea, soft drinks, and energy drinks. All this, and look, cola drinks have a twin that is even more harmful to our health called what? Coffee. And yet there are even some Adventists that are thinking it's okay. And some studies, you have to look where the studies are coming from. There may be even some studies that are saying, oh, it's okay. But let me tell you something I want to tell you. Medical researchers have discovered a significant number of risks, with health risks, with the use of coffee. And I want to just bring a few to you. I have many more in the book, but caffeine may increase your heart rate, cause irregular beats, and even raise your cholesterol. And caffeine depletes the body's supply of vitamins and minerals, including calcium, iron, and B vitamins. We need those vitamins. We need those B vitamins. We need that calcium. And this is depleting. And caffeine and even the sugar cola drinks and all of that is not rehydrating, even though there's water in there. It's dehydrating. So you are actually dehydrating your body when you take in these products. And so caffeine is addictive. Why is it? Pastor Finley mentioned last night, what was it? 60-some% can't live without coffee. What is it? What was it? 37%? Yeah, it was doubled from the Bible, and that was 16%. 37%. And that's why, because it's addictive. Caffeine is addictive. And what are the problems with excessive amounts of caffeine? Well, 1 cup increases the risk of stomach, kidney, lung, rectal, and esophageal cancer, and it doubles the risk of bladder cancer in women. That's just 1 cup. Now, I was getting my hair cut, and I was at the hairdresser, and I heard one of the men there saying that he drinks 10 cups a day. 10 cups of coffee a day. I was shocked. I felt like saying something, but I couldn't. But I tell you, 2 cups increases colon cancer risk, increases ovarian and pancreatic cancer, and 5 cups increases the risk of heart disease significantly. So I'm telling you, and look, let me tell you something. If you go to my book on page 125, and this is from Science, and it says coffee and tea are all American drinks, yet the caffeine, the caffeinic acid, and they all they are associated with a number of significant health risks, including even early death. Even early death. But then if you turn the page and you look at what Ellen White says, and this is from 2T page, and all the references are in the back of each chapter, page 64 and 65. She says, the use of tea and coffee is also injurious to the system. To a certain extent, tea produces intoxication. It enters into the circulation and gradually impairs the energy of the body and the mind. It impairs the body and it impairs the mind. It stimulates, it excites, and it quickens the motion of the living machinery. And there's much more. But then she says, the influence of coffee is in a degree the same as tea, but the effect upon the system is still worse. Still worse. And she has so much to say. I tell you, the reason I'm so excited about this book is just because I have science confirming what we know as Seventh-day Adventists, and we don't have that even in some of the other places where they mention the natural remedies. And so, look, my friends, I know there are some churches that even have coffee machines in the back of the churches. I've seen it. And if we have health ministry directors here, if we can just work with the pastor to help them to see that this is actually destroying our health. And why are we going to revert to some of these things that are so bad for our health and actually worldly? Because the people there everywhere we go into a restaurant, and the first thing they say is, "Would you like coffee?" You know, would you eat? They were shocked as we went to a restaurant recently, and we said we didn't even want anything to drink. You don't want anything to drink? No, we already drank our water. We're fine. They come back 2 or 3 times. Are you okay? You want some water? You know, they can't imagine that you're not drinking even with your meals. But anyway, some of these lifestyle practices don't help our health. So the bottom line is to abstain from everything that's harmful, like drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and even caffeine. This will improve our health. So someone says, what should I drink? Well, I have a whole section on basically saying water. Water, water everywhere. That's what we should be drinking, the good water beverage of water. But also herbal teas are very good for us. So those mint and chamomile and all those herbal teas are actually good as well. And so what we really need is God's health assurance plan. That's what we need. We need God's health assurance plan. And by following God's health assurance plan, we can increase our possibility of living longer, healthier, and happier lives, my friends. There's no question in my mind. And this is why I'm so excited to present this not only to Seventh-day Adventists, but also the non-Adventists coming in are so excited about it because they see the possibility of actually living longer, healthier lives. And so, let's read 3 John 2 together. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. So God says, I want you to prosper, and I want you to be in health. And God promises to give us abundant health, my friends, if we just follow his laws. So God is going to bless you, I know, as you follow his methods. But let me open it up for just a few questions before we have to take a little break before Pastor Finley comes. But I just want to open it up. Do we have? Yes, sir.
Where do you live that you have 17 miles of trail?
We live in Haymarket, Virginia. And when we were leaving the GC, we were going to get out of that hubbub of GC because they've built all around the GC now, the General Conference. And we prayed and said, God, where do you want us? We had just come back from Hong Kong and from China, and we saw concrete and steel, and we said, we need to be out in the country. So lead us to the right place. Our son was doing a physician's assistant program in Virginia, and he said, Mom and Dad, come and look here. My husband found this community that's absolutely fantastic with 17 miles of trails on the property. They say, Toll Brothers says, we don't build houses, we build communities. We have schools and churches. There are only 2 churches in there, and we are one of them. And we have built our church in there, but we said we need to be out here because of those 17 miles of trails. We go in the back of our house, and there's a golf course, and we walk across to the trails, and we have 17 miles of trails all around us. And we don't even have to pay for the trails. It's so awesome. Yes. We are thankful and blessed. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. How effective are these mini trampoline when it comes to exercise?
Oh, the rebounder. I have a rebounder, and the rebounder is very good. Now, some of you may need it comes also with a rail, with a handle. And so you might need to put it on there so you don't lose your balance. The older you get, you have less, your equilibrium changes and you don't have the balance. But if you have a rebounder, I have one in my home, and I like the rebounder. And so it's good, yes.
Break up your exercise, maybe 30 minutes or 15 minutes at a time, and then do some later. Is that still as effective?
Okay, I would recommend to do 30 at one time anyway, and then if you want to break it up. For example, I try to do an hour and a half a day, and many times I have to break it up to 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes in the evening. And so you break that up, but at least 30 minutes at one time is the very best. Yes.
I have a question. I know people with diabetes. How can you reverse it?
Yes, reverse it. You can. I have a whole section in my book on diabetes, so I can't go into it all here with the question, but I also quote Goodbye Diabetes from Dr. Youngberg's book. And you can reverse it, but the way you reverse it is following these 8 natural laws of health, but you need to be on a plant-based diet. This is the way you reverse diabetes and heart disease. And I'm going to talk to you a lot about nutrition tomorrow. Some of you were asking, how is it that she said that she's been 50 years when she did her first health program? When I was 24 years old, 50 years ago, we were in our first district in ministry, and I was literally forced into doing my first cooking school in 1969. I did not have cookbooks back then. There were no plant-based cookbooks on the market. You couldn't even buy almond milk or soy milk or all this. We had to make our own mayonnaise, make our own cream, make everything. So I started out that way, and today we have so many things. I have an entire cookbook with pictures on every recipe and every page, and I'm going to share why. Why is this cookbook different than all the other plant-based cookbooks out there? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow, but just to know is that the ingredients are simple and they can be found everywhere. The recipes aren't difficult. In addition to that, they've been tested and tried for 50 years. And you know what? I don't put anything in here that I don't like myself, because I know that I've had a lot of people testing, and I use everything in this book at my school and at my home. And so we need to get a recipe book, not just to get a book that we get one recipe out of, but do you use many of them? And I tell you, the way we reverse, in answer to your question, diabetes and some of these chronic diseases is on a plant-based diet. And it is God's diet, and we'll talk more about that. So invite your friends and everybody tomorrow, because it's going to be very exciting when we talk about nutrition. All right, just another couple questions, and then we need to give you a break. Yes?
In your retreat center, do you invite sessions, like 2-week sessions?
Yes, we're focusing on pastors, and we want to help pastors. We've been in ministry for 52 years, and the first 2 we were interning, and that's why I started my first cooking school 2 years later. But we're focusing on pastors. We want them to have a place to come, to not only have a retreat, but also teach them go over the 3 angels message and the importance of teaching that in our churches, and also the health message, and also church growth and all of that. So we're focusing on that, but we are going to have sessions for the public to come in and others to come in as well. And we will have an entire sheet that we will pass out. If you have health ministry directors, or if you're interested in health, we have a health symposium coming up at our school. We're not quite in our health retreat center yet, but we are in our school, and September 6th to 8th is a whole weekend at our center for health, and how to teach health programs, how to incorporate that into your churches. And that session is still open for the public, September 6th to 8th in Haymarket, Virginia. And if some of you are interested, we have some of these brochures. So we'll have whole sessions at our retreat center and our school. God is blessing immensely, and so we'll talk more about that too. But if some of you are interested, you can talk to me or to my husband, or I guess that's all that's here with us. We don't have a big staff, but we're growing. Anyway, let's pray together and take a break. Father in heaven, we thank you for the health message. We thank you for giving us divine insights. We thank you for the fact that you want us to be healthy and well and live a very productive life. And so I pray that you would bless every single person here and help them to make those lifestyle changes, whatever that is. And you know them already, and they know them. And so we pray that they would just launch out and say, God, with your help, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So bless each one, I pray, in Jesus' precious name. Amen. All right, take a little break, and then we will have Pastor Finley's class.